Ladies and gentlemen, AI isn't short on hype, but it's short on practical operator level conversations. In today's episode, it's going to be about owners who want to understand what actually matters, completely ignore the rest. Welcome back to Built to Hold. I'm your host, Sylvain Perrier, group leader at Vertus. This podcast is for founders and owners who are building businesses that are really meant to last and to thrive, and who want to make a thoughtful decision without chasing the noise. Today's episode is called AI Without the Hype, a practical conversation for owners, not tourists. Literally my favorite title so far to date. It's only episode 4. So the episode today is not going to be about tools. It's not about prompts. It's not about predictions or where the AI industry is heading. It's about how AI can actually change the way marketing teams work and what that means for owners of vertical market software businesses. I'm joined by Mark Fairhurst, who I spent an enormous amount of time working with at Mercatus, where we built and scaled a complex enterprise platform for the grocery retail industry long before AI was even close to being fashionable. So Mark brings a deep perspective on enterprise marketing and strategy. And this conversation is about judgment, not novelty, and why I wanted him here to give his thoughtful opinion. So let's get into it. So Mark, before we dive in, can you briefly describe what you're currently working on and how it's helping businesses adopt AI?
Yeah, happy to. It's good to be back. Good to be back with my partner in crime. It's interesting that you gave that history of the last 8+ years of us working together. I've often said to you, had these tools been with us 2 years ago in the form that they are now, it would have been a completely different ballgame from a go-to-market operational perspective. And I think, what a lot of business owners out there may or may not realize is that the barrier to being really successful when it comes to driving pipeline and revenue and closing deals has just become so much lower. And the capabilities have become so much more that, it's like night and day, to be honest.
Yeah, but my sense of it is, and I've likely shared the same thought process on this, is I've been immersed in this world of leveraging AI for my day-to-day now for close to 2 years. And quite frankly, longer than that, when machine learning, rules engines and machine learning became quite practical to deploy and easier to understand. And it's a bit of a reminder of where marketers would have been 10 years ago when the MarTech stack, I'd say it's probably longer than 10 years, where the marketing tech stack became more predominant in enterprise and in VMS, even more important than what CIOs and CTOs were talking about. And we saw a power shift. Gartner was talking about this at their CIO conferences, where CIOs had to catch up to understand the MarTech stack, the complexities of it, the security and all those things. So that gave CMOs a lot of power, but they had to not only scale the tool set, they had to scale people. And I think now that AI and the tools that are coming out is so rapid in the world of marketing specifically, and I think not just marketing, I think it's a revolution everywhere. But now, you can do more with less.
It's not even more, but it actually flips the script. When you think about the first marketing automation experiences like an Eloqua, and then you get into a Marketo or Pardot that eventually became Salesforce Marketing Cloud, you still had you had to plan. It was like a waterfall type campaign development process. So you had 2, 4, 6, 8 week programs. And then you had to line up all the headcount. You had to line up all the constituent parts to that campaign. You had to make sure that the systems were operating and delivering what you could, and you had to test. AI now has flipped the script. It's you can test and iterate almost in real time.
That's okay. So I want to dig on what you just said, because that's very interesting. So for the layman that is listening, in the world of marketing, and Mark's the expert here, so he's going to correct me if I'm completely wrong here. You do your annual budget, which is your headcount, your tool sets. You're going to kind of also start to think about the events you're going to do, which AI is not changing you attending events. Okay. So let's be clear about that. But you're really starting to use AI. Historically, you'd synthesize, okay, here's my marketing calendar. Here's the content I'm going to develop it. Here's when I'm going to release it. Here's what I think are going to be my KPIs. And then you go to Mark's point, the waterfall methodology would be, okay, let's get the designer to design. Let's get the copywriter to write. And then you push it out through your channels, whether they're traditional or digital. And traditional is like your print and your TV or whatever medium that you may be using. And then you start collecting your metrics. You hope it's leading to conversion, right? So marketing qualified leads that move into the sales funnel. And so what Mark is saying now is that whole system is disrupted. And I'm going to go as far as to say, Mark, I think you're going to lead to and say, hey, by the way, if in real time, if this isn't working, you can rejig it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think the strategic for business owners, the strategic implication is marketing is not about iteration speed anymore. Although that's a component of it. It's really about getting your AI partner to help orchestrate all the parts together so you can make course adjustments in near real time. And at the same time, leverage the data that you've been collecting and operating on, and really personalize what that engagement campaign looks like. I mean, in the past, you would have had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on software tools and licensing. If you wanted to have a personalized landing page I'm not going to say per company, but per individual based on the persona in that company. Now you can do that for a fraction of the cost, both in terms of dollars and licensing software, and as well as in terms of people out.
Is team size dramatically impacted here in this case?
I think it's not necessarily about adding or cutting headcount. I think it's about freeing up the time so that the talent that you do have can embrace these tools and understand where they can become more efficient and build in thinking time as opposed to just doing.
Walk me through. I mean, I know you're consuming content at a far greater pace than most in the realm of marketing, right? From all the courses that you're taking, you're spending time with teams at Northwestern, you're spending time in forums and all the great things that you're taking in. And I'm sure you're seeing certain things have higher, greater inflection points in the world of marketing. But where have you seen it really AI genuinely influence the work?
Yeah, I think it's not so much external. It's really about internal operations. Definitely within marketing teams, those jobs that were really high in terms of friction, like designing, testing, cleaning up data that in your database, your CRM, making sure that the contacts all have emailable email addresses and that they've been segmented according to their businesses, their personas, the functional roles within companies, and the ability to spin up automated messaging. That was very time consuming. Now it can be done extremely quickly, and with much less operational overhead. And I think my advice would be look at those jobs to be done within your back end operations and test and iterate using the AI tools that you have at your disposal, and see what you can do in order to free up the time for your people to have more thought go into what they're developing.
That's well said. I mean, a bit of a pedestrian example is this, maybe not, but if you look at this podcast that we're doing today, this is episode 4. We are early in 26. Podcast concept was established late 25. Brand voice determined, episode outline, episode scripts, inflection points, all those great things that go on into creating a podcast. Historically, and Mark would know this because he was a former co-host at Digital Grocer with me, that we did for seven seasons, close to mid seven seasons. That process was laborious. We would record, we'd have to download the recording, it'd have to go through a manual editing process, adding the intro, the outro, cleaning up the video, uploading it to the various channels, measuring it. I will tell you that this episode today, once it's recorded, will go through an AI assisted or AI directed. Actually, I would say I don't even do anything. The AI does it. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but it is cleaning up the quality of the video, cleaning up the quality of the audio, as well as getting all the show notes ready for the marketing team here just to push it. Really, it's like hit a button and push it. That's historically, that would take in, if you were to do bodies against this, it would have been 2 or 3 people.
Well, it would, remember, even before we moved to video, we just did the audio, and we had at least 3 people in the recording room, you, me, and a sound person, and then having to edit that audio track. And then we went into video. It added layer of complication, and you had to add more time to get it edited. Now, so it would take, at a good clip, 2 weeks to get an episode out.
Mm.
And tell me, how fast are you doing it now?
90% faster, easily.
Yeah.
Easily faster. I mean, it's a testament to the technology that's available now at our fingertips. And Mark, you just launched Undercurrents.AI. Can you share a little bit with the audience what that is? And then my second question to that quick follow-up is going to be, okay, so you're in this new realm now doing different things. You're spending a lot of time with VMS operators, new business owners. And so I'm curious to what are they overestimating in the near term around AI?
Yeah. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about my practice. So Undercurrents.AI, it's a strategic advisory practice that helps businesses and technology leaders see and act on those, what we just talked about, the structural forces that are reshaping their industry, before the forces actually reshape them. It brings a disciplined go-to-market methodology, what I've developed over the last 20 plus years, a deep fluency in marketing AI technology. So I definitely can do more, faster, more accurately, with much less. Bringing this lens. You and I have talked about this in the past because we used to riff off of one another, and figure out where industries are going, what these elements, what these forces are really going to be doing to businesses, not just 6 months down the road, but 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And bringing this together in a package that helps business leaders make confident decisions in this accelerated landscape. That's essentially what I'm bringing to my clients.
So walk me through today. Let's pretend I'll give you a scenario here because I think that will rationalize it for the listeners. I run a small VMS practice. deep domain expertise. I always say the CEO is always the best salesperson, doing well, profitable, and a small team. And what I'm realizing is my growth can be much better, whether that is selling more of my product line into existing customers, or it could be tackling, a wider spread geography, getting a little bit deeper. But I have only one marketing person, and I wouldn't say it's a seasoned veteran. I would say it's generally somewhere along the lines of a coordinator or something like that, with some graphic capabilities, but has been less about marketing strategy, more about supporting the sales team around tactical execution. So how would you structure that team, and where would they start?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the businesses that you're describing, let's say the sales pipeline has been very much owner operator cultivated,
Mhm.
and executives are spending a large amount of time selling through a relationship to their target persona. And when it comes to sales, that's extremely time consuming, and the infrastructure to support those conversations as you grow your business becomes ever more critical. But what data you're putting into that infrastructure to help alleviate the job that you're doing, it takes effort. It takes someone to accurately enter that information, the contact data, for example, so you then can put it into a digital pipeline. That's one area of the business that I think definitely AI can make a strong use case for cleaning up what's there and then identifying uh, means of reaching out to target contacts to either share content that is rapidly developed, tailored to their interest, their buyer's intent. But I would even take a step back and I would look at, okay, how are you segmenting the audience that you're going after? And is your messaging even tailored to that segment correctly? And I think having that perspective on who you're engaging with, being able to cultivate the right message to the right person at the right time, you're not going to need 5, 6, 7, 8 people with the assistance of some of the large language models out there and the agents that companies are now applying on top of them. It really becomes, uh, I think, an effective means to grow your business without a lot of overhead.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, when I get a chance to meet, and in this role at Vertus, I get to meet tons of people that are operating just fantastic businesses, and they really deeply care about them, and they do have deep domain expertise.
And they've already established they have product market fit,
Yes.
but they're hitting that wall. Whereas I need to grow, but I'm not enabled by the systems that have gotten me to this point.
Yeah, and or because the systems don't generally exist, or they are there, but they are not leveraged to the maximum of their capabilities. And so where I'm seeing kind of AI to what you just shared, it's okay, let's use AI to refine personas. Let's use AI to better enable prospecting. Let's use AI to clean up the myriad amounts of contacts I may have in my CRM. Let me kind of also do rapid content development to push it out through the channels and do A B testing, what's working, what's not working. And I think once you figure out that formula, that's where it gets quite powerful in what you can do next, I would think.
Just think of, we would send out mass emails, and
Mm.
you would send it to a segment, let's say 2,000-3,000 contacts. What's possible today is you can segment not only the subject or personalize the subject line, you can personalize the first paragraph, the second paragraph, the third paragraph. So the recipient feels that you're speaking to them one to one. That was the marketing dream 10 years ago. And a lot of the a lot of the marketing automation engines, painted that picture, but it was still extremely difficult to implement. And not everybody had $1 million for a MarTech stack. So it's especially for businesses that between 5 and 10 million net revenue. It's nowadays you can operate at that level of modern engagement without having to really burn through a lot of startup cash.
So I love that example. Let me play that back in my own words and maybe give a real spin on it for the listeners. So years ago, through our own lived experiences, we would absolutely have various pieces of content that would map back how our sales funnel operated. So you would have content that was very much thought leadership driven, early stage in the sales cycle. You'd have content that if you had a target audience that you wanted to reach to find out if they were in a buy cycle, and you would pick up the intent signals. So if someone clicked on something, who's clicking on it, what company's clicking on it, if they called, if they registered for a demo.
And again, that was a manual process. Sure,
Absolutely.
you had some platforms out there that would collect it for you, but you still had to review it.
And even to get to that stage of the deployment, you had the whole back office set up to do let's brainstorm what the piece of content is. You hope it works. You don't know if it's going to work. You have to pay a copywriter. You have to pay a graphic artist. You have to have someone to put it in, load it on the website and so on, load the email. And this is where the example here is very rich on AI really saves you time, as per what Mark shared. This is lived. I've lived through this. Mark's lived through this. You would get someone that would convert. They come in on a demo, or they want to do a discovery call. So you would get your head of sales or someone in the sales team was assigned that territory. However it's organized, you get on a call and you ask that classic question, right? Because you're like, so how'd you hear about us? And they're like, oh, well, and you already knew, but they're like, oh, we clicked on this. We're really interested. And then as you go through the discovery call, you're realizing, you're doing what I love to call is the band, right? Do you have the budget? Are you the authority? What's your timing? What's the next step? All those great things. What's the decision process? And then they share with you, hey, I'm writing an RFP. Or we're having a problem with the business that pertains to something with our .com or all those great things. This is where it gets really painful when you're a salesperson or a business owner and you're the lead sales guy. You think you could probably see the next piece of content in their hands, or you could write the RFP, or you could assist them in something, or you do a more deeper discovery. You have to go back to your marketing team or someone in the business. And Mark, how long does that take?
No, you'd have to either contact a sales engineer or a solution engineer. They'd have to go talk to product and marketing would have to get together to make sure that whatever is being written up is according to the brand voice and it's on message as far as that segment goes. It's the amount of time you could be 4 weeks into some producing a sales enablement piece of content just for that one conversation.
Now, today, to do that is what? An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours?
If 30 minutes. If the AI is set up with the brand voice and access to what's already been developed, it won't produce something that goes outside that rubric that you have set up. You're really enabling the account executive or the SDR and again, almost near real time.
Yeah, this great example how the capacity of what your marketing and your sales team can do now has been significantly expanded with a cost and more time. And you're driving tangible value into the hands of your prospects quickly and gaining trust with them, right? You're more focused on the value drivers of what you can do to enable them to be better at what they do and ultimately materially impact in a positive way your pipeline.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, all of that intelligence then goes also back into your AI agent, and then it learns from that experience. So it's not lost in the ether or stuck in the bottom of a folder in a Google Drive. It's actively present going forward.
Mark, tell me, I mean, you're spending a lot of time with business owners. What should they not do with AI?
First of all, have realistic expectations. You got to set the expectation internally that you got to put the infrastructure in place. I would start small, have small, rapid succession wins in order to clean up either your data, your content. I would not expect as well that all of a sudden you're producing reams and reams of AI generated messaging without truly understanding the problem that your software or your solution is attempting to solve for that business. It's really about being selective and, to the earlier point, testing and iterating as you go forward.
Yeah, it's a good example of also where critical thinking has to remain paramount in what you're doing here. I've always, and I'm not discounting security, protection of PII, personal identifiable data, and so on, and even the complexities of if you're doing stuff in the healthcare industry, HIPAA requirements. But I've always maintained, and I'd appreciate your opinion on this, marketing and sales in the context of an organization, I think are some of the more safer areas to experiment with AI.
Definitely. I think it's the opportunity to, as you said, experiment without burning the house down. When it comes, like, it's one thing to use AI to do a feature release
Right.
and not necessarily catch something in the QA process. But on the marketing side, you can experiment. You can move fast, fail fast. If you don't want to break things, but I think being able to look at the results and quickly adjust on the marketing pipeline side is a bonus. I think also empowering the sales team with the tools that they're looking for to help accelerate deal conversations. It's not a risky area of the business to operate in. I think the world has become certainly more in tune with what these tools are able to do. But I also think there's a lot of people out there who have to learn what these tools are capable of. And there's people of my generation, either you get it or you don't. I am seeing a lot of senior executives take the time to try to get up to speed, and not get bypassed by the revolution and that AI is bringing to the table here. But I really do think that the world for a lot of businesses, a lot of the VMSs that you're talking to, this is really going to be a game changer for them to be able to grow going forward.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And this is also for those who are keeping score here in the world of technology. This is our fourth major shift, tectonic shift, right? We went from mainframes to desktop applications to mobile applications. And in the world of I mean, listen, I remember when we shifted from desktop applications to web applications, there was just a general pushback from the engineering side saying, oh, you'll never be able to do certain things in a web browser that you can do in a desktop application. Well, I'm sorry, but who's left out there selling desktop applications besides probably Microsoft and a few other ones? This now is the permeation of AI is not just going to be in the tool sets or how we approach things. It's going to be across how we do things. And Mark is right. Marketing and sales is a bit of a safe haven. It's also an opportunity to dip your toe in the water around governance. How do you establish those SOPs to start protecting data? What tool sets your teams can use? And you can fail and fail fast without really in this realm without really upsetting the apple cart is my view.
Yeah. I would agree, but I do think this is something that can't be avoided. You need to find that champion, the person who has embraced what has now become almost every day a novelty or a new capability gets developed. And you need someone who'd be able to stay on top of what's being released and how it applies to your business. And I get it. A lot of business owners, I mean, they're worried about, they have product, they have customer relationships, they have engineering talent, that all of these components, customer service and success, all these components that go into making sure their business is operating properly. Where do you find the time and to be able to really get into the earth-shattering changes that are being released? You think about, go back to where we were September, October of 2025, and the amount of change that happens in 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Where will we be at the end of 2026? It's not something that you can just, okay, I took a few courses, I'm ready. I know. I think we're set as a business going forward. This will be a continual learning process. And for those executives who have embraced continuous learning, then they'll be set. But for those who haven't, they better be used to getting uncomfortable with learning and testing and developing using these tools, because your competitors may or may not also be embracing this paradigm shift.
Well said. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, quite frankly, in this case here. Mark, for the owners that are listening to this podcast and want to leave the episode, I guess feeling a little bit calmer and maybe clearer, what do you want them to take away?
I think, first of all, the opportunity, I think, in front of these business owners is immense. The expense is not what you think it is going to be. I think what you have to do is you have to get started. Don't delay. Don't ignore it. I think you really have to start taking initiative and looking at where your business has their strategic moat, if I can use that term. What's really of value and how do you capitalize on it?
Well said. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you joining today. How do people get a hold of you?
Reach me at mark@undercurrents.ai and or go to undercurrents.ai is my website. I'd be happy to engage in further conversation.
Great. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, AI doesn't reward speed. It rewards clarity. Trust me, that is the case. If this conversation helped cut through the noise, that deep noise, I invite you to subscribe to Built to Hold. I want you to hit or dare I say, smash the like button on your favorite podcast platform. And each episode is designed to help our founders and owners think clearly about long-term decisions. And there's no shortage of those. We want you guys to do that without pressure, hype, and guess what? Zero sales pitch. Thank you for listening.